It's hard to quantify risk because even little stuff you do during the day, it all has risk involved, and in my life at least, I try to put that out of my mind. Played soccer and baseball and all those sports as a kid and just never really had the appetite. I rode my mountain bike for a long time and I thought I was pretty good at it, and I rode up until the point in 2010, and I was down in California, first race of the year.
Charging on course right now, Geddes from Whistler, BC. Conditions challenging today for the riders. They've dried out quite a bit.
I was feeling pretty tired, like I wasn't feeling great. People started telling me that I was looking not very healthy, looking really white. My front tire just slid out, hit the ground, and that's all I remember. Almost an hour after, my heart rate was still at like 140, which is really high, not where it's supposed to be at. And so they seemed to think it might be internal bleeding. So I was taken by ambulance to the hospital. I was in the back of the ambulance and they're kind of facing the back window. And I don't think I've ever watched a real sunset from start to finish before. And I sat there for, I think it was like an hour and a half drive. And I sat there for an hour and a half silent, just staring down the sunset. And I was just like, I think like this could be my last sunset. And next thing you know, before even anyone told me, there was nurses running around the hospital putting up signs that was like, do not enter. And then the doctor asked to see my dad, who was with me at the time. Comes back in the room and my dad was just in tears. I remember pretty vividly the words, "You have leukemia." It felt like the weight of the world was just sitting on my chest and I just couldn't breathe, and I burst into tears immediately.
I was still in shock, actually. Feeling that now. They tried to put the leukemia into remission, but it didn't work. And he started his very aggressive chemo and 3 days of twice a day of total body irradiation. And that's when he was really violently ill.
The chemo and radiation that they do before a bone marrow transplant is really harsh. Like, it's meant to really take you down so that when the new bone marrow is introduced, your body has the highest chance of accepting it. For the first 2 weeks, I puked about every 20 minutes and I wasn't eating. I've lost my hair, fingernails. I didn't want to do anything other than lie in a dark room and just sit there.
That was the toughest time to see him, you know, because he was so weak, so fragile, and there was nothing you could do for him. Nothing. You couldn't help him. You could just be there, hold his hand.
Like, how can I be a 17, 18-year-old kid and die from cancer? Like, it's just not supposed to happen that way.
It was just heartbreaking as a mom, because as a parent, again, you just want to make it all better and you couldn't. You're completely and utterly helpless.
Once the transplant was over, all I could really do was wait. Just waited for my neutrophils and blood counts to become normal again.
We had a new spin bike and even had it in his isolation room. We had it all sterilized and brought in there.
It just sat in the corner of my room and I was kind of like, oh, like I really want to get on that. One day I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna get on this thing.
He had about, I don't know, 10, 15 bags all with tubes going into the thing that's embedded in his chest, and there he is, bald and puffy and on the spin bike. That was, I think, the beginning of the light for Nick, maybe at the end of the tunnel, is that, yeah, I can do this.
Once my neutrophil count, which is basically your immune system, got above a certain level, they sent me back up to Whistler. And I think that was honestly the key to my recovery. 3 months after, I hopped on my bike, and that was the kind of moment that I sat down and was like, I think I've done this. Like, I think it's over with. My coach gave me just little exercises to work on, just really easy stuff, and it was building that bit by bit, and each week it got better, and I could go for longer, or I could lift more weight. The steps that I saw myself doing they're pretty big jumps from week to week to week, and I was coming back pretty quickly. I was actually riding the spin bike a little bit more, and being able to go out and ride real bikes. Once I was on that bike, there was nothing stopping me. It was just like full speed ahead, like I'm going at this 100%. I think every sunset I get to watch is just like the best thing ever. To be riding bikes and have that in my life, and being able to have the sunsets in my life when I can have those at the same time, it's the best. I think every time I see a sunset, I get a little bit of a reminder what happened and that there will be a lot more sunsets. Right now, I've got a clean bill of health. I go back to the Children's Hospital semi-annually. I just do the full swath of tests, make sure everything's still okay. While I was going through my illness, the community in Whistler and Vancouver and my sponsors and everyone was so supportive. They were always raising money when I was sick, and they've continued to do so. I mentor a few kids at the Children's Hospital. When I was in it, it was tough to talk to people and always talk to parents or doctors, and they're always so positive, and it's like they don't really know what you've been through. To have someone that's been through the same thing is definitely important. Right now I'm a student at UBC down in Vancouver, University of British Columbia, studying engineering. Most important thing in my life right now is finding a balance between riding and enjoying riding and school. I got picked up to do the Enduro World Series on the Norco Enduro World team. It was a super awesome experience. We went all around the world. We went to Chile, Scotland, France, Italy, Switzerland, all over the place. After finishing the Enduro World Series, I think I was ready to step back a little bit from mountain biking. It was time for me to really start focusing more on school. But at the same time, I still love riding my bike. I don't want to forget about that. It's not just about doing schoolwork and getting a job and moving on from that. I still want to go out and ride my bike, have fun with friends. I try not to dwell on the past that much or look into the future. Just live every moment I can with purpose and really enjoy every second on this earth, because you don't know when it'll be time up.